Boom. We are alive, ladies and gentlemen. Feel the whip of that bull market move. Such a beautiful time. As you can tell, light is still fucking green. We have not once even wavered in thinking this bull market might be over since around March. Although for a minute there, I thought we could go lower. That was simply conjecture. I thought was highly improbable. And it's nice to see that that highly improbable thing didn't happen. Because it could have. Anything highly improbable can happen. Don't forget that. Anyways, we're going to start by looking at our market industry leader, Bitcoin, or Ethereum. No, obviously, Bitcoin, or Ethereum. Okay, yeah, it's Bitcoin. It's our collateral layer. It's basically our money. Ethereum is an amazing portion of how we operate with our money and the rest of the sector. But we're going to start with Bitcoin. So the other day when we had this dramatic drop, there are a lot of YouTubers who were getting this wrong. They were saying this was a phase C and it was a distribution phase itself. Now, although they may have been correct in assuming that this is a phase C, they actually got the placement wrong, and it was this that was most likely phase C. And there's a really easy way to tell for those that know what they're doing, or for those of you that don't. If you don't know what you're doing, you would not in any way, shape, or form be looking at the most important part in this story, which is your supply characteristics. So this part down here, this shows the amount of buying and selling that took place at any given moment, at least on this particular moment, on the 6-hour time frame, around Bitcoin. And all this supply coming in was actually very bullish. And we're going to look at why that was. So as we zoom in here, there's two key parts to this story, right? So we've gone over this many times before. And if you're new to this channel, I'll say it again. When you see this movement upwards, this is what you would call an upthrust. This is usually where phase like C in distribution gets confused, is that you break above the box like this and then it turns around. Now, one of the reasons why we've been so consistent about that not being a true upthrust is actually the lack of supply going up into this move. The majority of the supply came when the move went down, and that's actually bullish. I mean, again, this is one of the odd things about volume and supply characteristics. People generally don't understand them because they're almost like reverse, the reverse of what you think, right? You want the price to rise on falling supply. That's actually a bullish indicator. And that's clearly what we've been seeing here with Ethereum too, which is the falling supply, rising price. These are bullish indicators that we've seen continue down this process. And more importantly, after a massive supply test. So one of the reasons why distribution and reaccumulation are confused so easily is because of this misunderstanding of the story of supply. So here, when we hit this, it was I considered it the bottom. I went very public about this moment. It was like, this is the spring. It looks like we'll have an inverse head and shoulders, and we got exactly that. Not that I predicted it. It just looked like the market does these things quite frequently, and it repeats the process. Now, this is a very small inverse head and shoulders, and it likely pushes us to the top of the box. And that's what I had made conjecture around, was that we would reconsolidate around this $57,000 area, which we're doing, and then we will continue to the top of the channel. And I do suspect we will actually make a backup phase like this before we basically scream near the end of June, in the middle of maybe beginning to middle of June, we'll just scream towards like $90,000 Bitcoin. Now, in the meantime, Ethereum's actually been our leader, and Ethereum has been not leading the market, but we saw this in early March as well, that Ethereum actually broke out of its trading range before Bitcoin did. So one of the unique aspects here is understanding that long-term trading range. And I'm actually going to open up the chart that we have. I have not touched this chart. We haven't looked at it in a while though. This is the chart that we drew back in March. And as you can see, we've hit all three of our regression lines. And if you're new to this channel, I highly suggest you go back and watch these videos. I talked about how we would hit this first resistance line, retest, we did. Second regression line, test, redid. And we've hit this third regression line, and we've started to break out into total blue sky discovery mode. And this is really important for understanding our story in the supply chain, right? So with Bitcoin, we're clear out of the regression lines as well and on our way to much higher prices. And this is where I started to make conjecture. And again, you can go look back at these videos everywhere between September to May when we were going through the first, September to May here, when we were going through the first parts of this regression line, that we could see Ethereum go up as high as like $6,000 to $8,000. And that was based off of some of the stuff we had seen in the previous bull market, which is just a massive amount of insanity when you're dealing with liquid products. And here it's just a very simple move to the 4236 from where we were at the top of our previous all-time high, which was over here, previous all-time high, down to the spring. We saw this is a much larger trading range that was taking place, and here we are again moving out. And this is one of the things I made the again, you can go watch these videos. I created conjecture here in May that what we were witnessing was actually the lower part of the trading range within a much bigger trading range, and that this would take us as high as $6,000 to $8,000 Ethereum. And now that we've had it play out and we see that we were correct, because again, this is a game of probabilities still. I'm not trying to predict the future so much as I am trying to like observe it. So here, this is our SOS, our backup phase, and we've started a new SOS, which could bring us as high as $3,700 on this run that we are currently on before making a bigger trading range and then finally having a blow off top. And this kind of fits that story of where Bitcoin is as well, at least in my opinion, and that's where I think we're headed. So that brings me to some of my other favorite plays. SRM, if you were in the private group, this has been one of my kind of new favorite suites of tokens, and I'm just going to go over those today. We'll keep it kind of simple. Here, just very beautiful Wyckoff structure. We've broken right up into the backup phase. You know, I was getting a little nitty gritty trying to practice looking at something, so I'll share this. This is a really messy chart. I don't ever suggest you chart like this, but I was there's something really fun in this story I want to point out, and it's the supply line like mean change effectively. So let's hear, yeah, there we go, it'll load. Okay, so see how this first supply line was quite steep and then it got consistently less steep, or I guess you would say maybe more gradient, or the gradient decreased. That's what it is. The falling gradient decreased here and has now turned into a rising gradient. And we've seen these before too, where you have a rising wedge go actually quite bullish. So here, I don't normally chart with these types of lines, but what I wanted to do was, for those of you that are studying the creek, kind of understand how the creek works. It works like this, where it jumps up and then it moves back down each of these lines until it breaks through here, right? So this is the area where it's basically broken through right here. So you could even go like above. So this is the jump across the creek we've just had. So I wanted to show that for those of you that are studying and are a little bit further ahead of inside of your market analysis. These falling supply lines I think are really valuable for understanding how the flow of your creek would work. Again, those are for those of you that are already studying and would know exactly what I'm talking about. If you do not know what I'm talking about, it probably means that you are new to the investment world, and I highly suggest you spend a lot of your time reading books, researching, studying, because if you buy right, you can sit tight and you can make a lot more money by doing a heck of a lot less. Anyways, SRM looks great to me. I do suspect we are on our way probably to around $15 to $16 on the first part of this step, and probably much higher. It's only got a $500 million market cap. And remember, the reason why I love this is because it's a part of the FTT Solana suite. SRM is part of a suite by Alameda Research, and I am quite bullish on them as a whole, and I'm a big fan. So here's the FTT token. We took our initial entries here around $32, not quite at the POC line while it was here, but pretty damn close. And we've been on a bull market since. SOS, backup phase, nice SOS, backup phase again. And this is what we, this is what we've basically been watching with Bitcoin here as well, is these trading range and a trading range and a trading range kind of stepping stones, right? So here, here We see it with Bitcoin as well. Trading range into trading range into trading range into trading range, and you basically keep going up these until you get one final blow off top. So FTT looks bullish here still as well. I have not touched my position since I entered here at $32. I plan on just leaving it for a little bit longer until it gives me any clear signals that there's distribution at scale in the market. I'm bullish, and I will remain that way. And like I said, as long as this light is green, I am bullish. And this light has been fucking green the entire time. When it changes red, we did have one yellow day though. We did have one yellow day. It was this day here, and it was because we could have seen I believe an analog similar to what you've seen in the past. We just have basically a quick step down into a reaccumulation after decline, which is, again, I said many times was not probable, but still possible. And here we hit the much more probable, which was an inverse head and shoulders on Bitcoin here into our spring, which was just sexy. Avalanche recovered nicely here as well. One of my favorite plays here. I think it is extraordinarily undervalued in the ecosystem. So many people are running around playing with Binance shit chain nonsense, fucking pump and dumps. And there's real technology out here. And one of the important parts to remember is that a bull market makes everything go up. Literally, like everything go up. And you want to be careful of that situation, because it can be distracting, and you can lose sense of what's valuable. And what you want to do is be able to pick out what is valuable and know why you would want to hold that valuable thing over the long term, kind of regardless of what the price does, because price can be very deceiving. When Bitcoin ran up to $90 and dropped back down and then up to 1,000 and then down to 200, it's deceiving to pay attention to the price if you don't understand the value of the asset that you are holding or trying to acquire more of in that particular matter as well. So here, I've actually been acquiring more and more Avalanche on pretty much a daily, weekly basis. I've just been buying Avalanche because this, to me, feels like the bottom of the trading range, right? So I've accumulated a bunch more Avalanche. I've kept buying. My average price now is on my secondary buys, at least, are down here around $24. I don't know what my primary buys are at because they're in cold storage, but secondary buys are all on the exchange still. And they've been operating around $22, which is good because I started at 40. I had to lower it down by adding a bunch more. I really thought we were going into a much more bullish trading range. They dropped the ball here, but on the plus side, the fact that we've gotten rid of all this supply on these downward tests here is really powerful to me. I think it's gotten rid of the people who got lucky by playing an Avalanche for the first time. Because again, we've had 3,300% returns from our our first entries. I wanted to take part because I believe there's more to come. So I thought it was going to go like this. So I figured try to jump on for a little bit of the rest of the ride. But we've had this big, long reaccumulation after decline. And I suspect that we're going to see that turn around and break out finally, and that what we witnessed in Bitcoin for the spring was also the spring for a bunch of other ideas. And it's important to remember that the market moves kind of in lockstep. Rook looks good. 1 inch looks great as well. Everything recovered nicely. I pointed out that I was a little concerned because of this massive supply test that came on the upside to 1 inch. But again, these are smaller markets. It's not Bitcoin. I kind of let Bitcoin lead the way for all of the market sentiment, even though the individual trading ranges may show these something that looks less sexy to me, which is this huge amount of supply on the upside. I would rather see that huge amount of supply coming into an SOS, not to an upthrust. But again, in these smaller caps, again, and I'm saying that compared to Bitcoin as a small cap, we can overlook those things a little easier as long as the market as a whole is bull. And it is. Dodo, another one of the ones we had added to our textbook. And if you are interested in learning what we have, go to the arcanebear.com and you can follow us there. You can sign up for our private group, because remember that the disease of the new investor comes from over-emotional trading and a lack of education. So one of the best things you can do to cure that is by joining a group and a community of people who are focused on building their portfolios over the long term, using analysis of the markets and understanding that timing is hyper important and can make all the difference when executing a great strategy. If you want to know just kind of for free what I generally hold, you can go to arcanebear.com/club. Although Doge is not on there. It is a hold of mine. I'm not sure why it's not on there yet, but I'll fix that. But Dodo is, and this is just a general basket of venture capital plays and are kind of a weight in them to some degree. Not exactly, but it's somewhat weighted in my interest here. Anyways, Dodo should probably be a little bit higher. So should Solana, but we're figuring this out as we go. Anyways. Let's see. Maybe we'll take a look at some of your guys' thoughts and questions as we go back over here to Dodo. SXP is looking good. Let's leave it on Bitcoin. And probably even more excitingly, again, just to reiterate, Ethereum is probably going to like 6 to 8 grand. And again, you can go back and look at my videos in May, June, July, where we went over exactly this. But our price, we were back down here. We were back down here to around $360, $240. So it's fun to be right. It's very profitable as well. It's another thing, but it's actually good to have your thesis confirmed as a somewhat scientific mind, or at least I like to consider myself as such. That itself is even more rewarding than the profits, having got the thesis pretty much right. So, I mean, well, they go hand in hand, but it's like more rewarding on a personal basis to get that shit right. You're like, yes, motherfucker, God, yes. Not like you guys do your own thing. I want you to all be good at doing your own thing, but it feels good to see the data on the long-term play out, because I'm not like a hype YouTuber. I'm not like, oh my God, we're bullish, we're bearish. If we go past the 4-hour ascending triangle nonsense, it's gonna break down. This is obviously distribution, because I have no idea what I'm talking about. So anyways, thank you guys. Remember to give us the thumbs up if you enjoy this content, where I am like chess and most people like football. Leave your thoughts, your comments. They're always held for review because there's scammers out there. So if you don't see them posted right away, it's because no one gets to post without going past Tio's approval, because there's just too many scammers during the crypto market, and that's the last thing I want to see. Remember that your seed phrases are extremely important, and people are always trying to steal your money. So double down, make sure your seed phrases are safe places. Don't send money to people that you don't intend to. Double, triple check addresses and all that fun stuff. I'll take a few questions and we'll go from there. Let's take a look here. Where are we at? Yeah, everything looks good. We'll go back to Ethereum here. Ethereum looks great. Look at this beautiful Ethereum story we've had so far. Absolutely phenomenal. And a new SOS and what appears to be a secondary LPS. There it is, right there. Okay. Luke Hemmings says, awesome YouTuber. Thanks. So I was just happy to share my sentiments. Smash the like button, guys. Yes. Double round bottoms go hand in hand. Yes, if you like double round bottoms, do not forget to go follow us on Instagram, where I post stories. Oh, hey, actually, these are not double rounded bottoms, but let's see. I know they're in here somewhere. You know. It's maybe I actually do it more on Twitter. Yes, there we go. Double rounded bottom. I post photos of random stuff from life in Instagram. Look how beautiful the sunset was today here. This is out of my front door here at home right now. So there's this beautiful, you can't even see it as a rainbow because it's so pink, but this was a rainbow right here. It's freaking amazing. Anyways. Check that out. Okay, back to Ethereum. Love your solid intel, Andrew Snyder says. Thank you. I'm so happy to share. Music. Yeah, I'll play some music. Okay, we'll do that. Happy to share the ETH short-term price. If you're thinking about short-term prices, you have a short-term goal and a short-term game plan, and I suggest against that because you're likely to not do well. That's just my first thought. Short-term is unimportant. Buddy says, dig your stuff. Thanks, guys. I appreciate all the support. I'm moving to Bali soon. We got the visa booked today. Stoked, yes. The flute. Okay, I can play the flute. That's a few of you guys have asked me for the flute. I can do that. Do you live in Costa Rica for the tax benefits? No. Well, I've lived offshore for a bunch of years for tax benefits. It's being called being a non-resident. I bank in foreign countries and offshore outside of Costa Rica as well. I do own corporations and bank accounts here though as well, and businesses here too. Yes, Glasswalker, great to see you. Everything's going amazing. We should probably go in and look a little closer at Ethereum here. We are rising on diminishing supply right now. Just taking a look at a few of your guys' questions. Figured we'd go over. Why is ETH to Bitcoin chart so... I don't use the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart. I think it's irrelevant. I think they will become more relevant in the future, but I think it's irrelevant today. Most funds will measure alpha in US dollar, probably for at least another 5 to 10 years. Although I do believe we are watching that somewhat change. I don't think it's going to happen today. So I believe it is much less relevant than most people think. Although the OGs, people like myself, I definitely am more interested in measuring my alpha in Bitcoin and Ethereum. So I'm always adding to my mainstays. But that changes over time. Bitcoin is still the collateral layer of my thesis. Sick bro, you got Swiss bank accounts. Swiss are not the ones you want necessarily. It depends what you're trying to do. Every corporation and jurisdiction offers you different opportunities. So Swiss is not something that does well for me. Who remembers the crypto title? BitBoy sold all his Ethereum at 600. Yeah, a lot of these guys, I don't know, they're hyper popular, but again, I think that's because that's how the masses generally work. They're attracted to the wrong things at first, trying to make a quick buck. Nobody likes to get rich slowly, but this is the thesis that we have drawn out at the Arcane Bear, and it works beautifully. Yeah. Take your time. You can grow your wealth in your portfolio much safer that way. Total market cap is probably irrelevant. It is a hallucination. It doesn't represent anything of tangible value, in my opinion. Maybe Bitcoin does, for sure, more so, and Ethereum, but just the total. Why is this loading so slowly? Weird. Did you say moving to Bali? Yeah, I guess for a little bit. You surfed in Bali yet? Oh, I did not. I went rock climbing though. I will be going surfing in Bali. I actually really want to go scuba diving in Raja Ampat. It's like a kind of a wet dream of mine. So that's what I would like to do. Amir, Dotto, good to see you. He says, love you, Tio. You're the man, share knowledge and changing lives. It's great. Thank you. I appreciate that. The people in the private bear den, you guys are all freaking fantastic. Thank you all. I appreciate the support. Which price target would you start selling Avalanche? Yeah, guys, if you're talking about buying and selling like this, you clearly don't understand how I build my thesis. So I'm going to try to explain it to you one more time. Pretty simple. I acquire assets. I take out my principal, and then I generally try to walk away and leave what we'll call moonbags on the table. I consistently add to what I believe to be valuable. And sometimes that changes. Currently, Avalanche is one of the ones that I consider to be very valuable and underrated for the value that it is. So I have no price target for selling because that would be silly of me to try to assume that I know what its price will go to. I have a general understanding of what I think its value is. So therefore, what happens over 10 years? Again, what happens if you sold today and if had you just done nothing, you made 100 times more money? That's where most people fuck up and fail, is they want a short-term profit instead of a long-term wealth building strategy. And I'm much more akin to the long-term wealth building strategy. Even though we use all these technical trading ranges, it's simply to measure the market to make sure that we got it right. And then, well, the balance book on the portfolio does that as well, but there's a technical aspect I think that you want to have a good grasp on. Even though you don't need it today, the long-term strategy pays off effectively. And I think Warren Buffett was quoted the best saying, you don't need to be extraordinary to have extraordinary results. And if that's not a fucking quote that should drive you mad, understanding someone like Warren Buffett being like, look, I ain't no one special. I didn't have to do anything all that special. I just continued to acquire good investments for my whole life. It's a pretty smart plan. Sounds pretty simple. And because I love reading and playing music so much, I can take off most of my time and continue to do that. So I'm not really looking at like a sell target. My initials are already out of Avalanche and I added to the position. So that's a double down on that one. Please share some more coins like WooTrade. Again, you can go to arcanebear.com/club or sign up for our private group where we go over all those things. But those are for paying members only, generally speaking. I just got the Ledger Nano. Any thoughts? Yes. Make sure you keep your seed phrase safe. Those are the most important. Are you in Dogecoin? Yes. I will always, forever, always own Dogecoin. I will never sell. Just because I think it's interesting and important part of the thesis to understand that I don't know the future. I have no idea. And in fact, many times, every time I've thought I knew what might happen, I've been proven wrong. So to bet on that randomness, there are certain things in my portfolio that I will always do, which is play around and experiment more easily with small amounts of money. And I think Mohnish Prabhai, in quoting him so eloquently, said it best. Heads I win, tails I only lose a little. And Dogecoin is a fantastic fucking example of heads I won, tails, I only would have lost a little. And I do believe that if you follow that sentiment and you understand the directive of asymmetry, volatility, and time, you will find yourself a clear path to tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars over the course of your lifetime. Chew on that, right? Is it worth selling gold to buy it? No, don't. What you should be focusing on acquisition phases usually, and I wouldn't even I don't like gold. I have this small little circle of competence where I can understand technology and I vaguely understand what's wrong with finance. So I put those two together and it's worked out great so far. I try to ignore everything else. I love psychedelics, but I'm not going to be investing in psychedelic companies. Just one little like this niche works for me. I understand a few things in it. I can make some outlandish bets that have massive upside potential. Warren was also hating on crypto. This is correct, but Warren has also specifically fucking stated over and over and over again that he is stupid. And he said this, like, first off, he didn't say I'm stupid, but I'm ad-libbing for Warren. I think he says I'm flawed, which basically he means he understands that he doesn't understand everything. So he invests in companies that have long-term potentials. Like, for instance, Tampax, right? Here's a company where you can pretty much imagine that for some long period of time, women are going to be buying this kind of like fundamental infrastructure product. And that's what Warren has a track record for investing in. Companies that have like a very fundamental use case that is just consistent product need, right? It's kind of psychedelic to think about, but they're like, yeah, I want to buy the company that owns the cables for the electric system. That's how they think. They're like, people need electricity. I want to own the electric cable company, right? They look for simple business plans that have clear moats and roads to revenue. And Munger have both stated in all of their writings that they do not invest in technology for this reason. So why the fuck would you ever think that they would know what they're talking about when it comes to technology? Clearly they don't. But if you take what they say, you understand that they know that they are flawed and that they also don't invest in technology, the thesis still reigns supreme. Right? Take FTT, great example. Here is a company that has deep moats, stock fucking buybacks, and massive revenue. Winner, fucking clear winner. Like, look at this. From December to today, you were up 1,300%. Pretty much the same as Bitcoin. So not a huge advantage over Bitcoin. But nonetheless, this is a business. FTT token is basically an operating business part of FTX, right? So don't expect the older guys to have any clue what's going on here, but they definitely know what's going on by finding high value, low risk, long-term investments through timing and basic infrastructure. And basic infrastructure right now at this moment is like Bitcoin and Ethereum and Avalanche. Sometimes things like Rook and Dodo and 1inch appear on that checklist as well. And those are much more far out of the money options. So we put in less money and we expect asymmetrical returns. Either that or it's worth nothing. The beauty of asymmetry. Heads I win, tails I only lose a little. Okay, so a few more thoughts, questions. Beautiful. Well, thank you guys all for the beautiful comments. It was fun to catch up with you. Yeah, look at this. Everything's bullish still. I love that we've been so calm and just able to let it be a bull market the whole time instead of always shifting every fucking video on what it is we're talking about. So thank you guys for being intelligent and savvy enough to recognize the difference of valuable, or at least what I believe to be communicated value. And the consistency of that. We'll see you guys on the next episode. Remember to go down to these things below here. Follow us on Twitter or Instagram or LinkedIn or any of that. If you want to know about anything else, go back to the beginning of the video because we went over a bunch of tokens. A lot of you asked me to play the flute, which is what I will do. I could even probably put a drone on in the background, just to make it a little bit better. Let's see. Okay, so we're gonna play a little bit of native flute, but first I want to put a drone on in the background because it always helps to have multiple notes when you're playing music. So let's go ahead and do that. Indian drone tone? Let's find out. Should be close. That's an F. We need F sharp, baby, not just F. F sharp. F minor. No, F sharp. Why is it not giving me F sharp? This is what happens when you freestyle. There we go. There's an F sharp. Yeah, that sounds better. Okay, here we go. So, yep, it's always fun. Okay, and then like a little bit. We could do something minor. Anyways, something fun, a little bit of random. Hope you guys enjoyed. Always exciting to play a little bit of music for you. Yeah. Oh, for those of you that want to know, that is made by a company called High Spirits. It is a Navajo gentleman out of probably, I'm going to say Arizona, although I don't know the United States geography. Somewhere in the Four Corners area, Nevada, Arizona, I'm not sure. It's called High Spirits. Fantastic instruments, very easy to learn how to play. I would definitely grab one if you're interested in playing music. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah, thank you guys. We'll see you again on the next episode. Let's see you with our Arcane Bear, and then bam.